Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining our hangout today. Internationally known for their mature and lyrical sound, the Quartetto di Cremona graces not only the stages of the most prestigious venues, but now some of the best classical radio stations around the US. Bookended by performances in Tulsa, Oklahoma and Western Massachusetts, the guys piled into a Suburban last week and stopped at 10 stations along the way to find out what American radio is all about. Today we have Max Horowitz from Crossover Media and all the guys from Quartetto di Cremona. So welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Hello.
Hey, guys. How did the idea come about?
When our agent told us the dates we had to play, we noticed that we had like 4 or 5 days free, and you know we didn't want to stay in Tulsa 4 or 5 days just practicing, rehearsing, and as we really like to be more known in the United States. At least as we are known in Europe, we decided to contact probably the best PR in the United States, Max Horowitz, Crossover Media, just to ask him to arrange something for us. And he had the great idea to contact all the radios and to do this tour that was for sure not easy, as we had to drive a lot, but amazingly beautiful and with a lot of human experience, beautiful meetings.
And you left Tulsa for KUAF in Fayetteville, Arkansas. How was that first stop?
Well, we found the people in Fayetteville very professional. All the radios were extremely professional. They were already prepared about our group. They knew what we were doing, what we were, where we were coming from, where we were going. And well, the first stop, yes, it was the easiest because we had to drive very little to arrive.
You arrived that evening in Rolla, Missouri, and then did a segment the next morning with John Francis in Rolla. What's your memory of that?
John in Rolla was great, and he was really nice with us. We immediately had a nice relationship. We played, we talked to him about music.
Beautiful sound you've been listening to is the Quartetto di Cremona, who we are lucky enough to have stop here in the studio live. They're on a U.S. tour and happen to be passing through Rolla. We were able to make arrangements for them to come here. So tell me about the Quartetto di Cremona. How did you all get together?
I was 25, yes, and I was, going towards the 30s, so I didn't have really anything solid in my life, musically speaking. So I thought I must do something, and I want to start, playing in quartet. I want to try with the string quartet, and me and Simone were the viola player, were already friends, and we decided to start this quartet together. You
continued on to St. Louis. To RAF, and you met with Jim Connett.
It was great because there the interview was just live, so we all four were around the table. We said many things. We enjoyed a lot.
We're talking with the 4 members of the Quartetto di Cremona in and traveling through the United States, and I have to say this is just a personal observation. Ladies of St. Louis, you have 4 wonderful gentlemen here from Italy who are not only talented musicians, but very charming guys. And I'm going to let them go here in a few moments, but
thank you.
I'm warning the girls of St. Louis that you're out there on the streets.
And then we left the radio. On a suggestion of Jim, we went to a great place to have a great hamburger.
You played the home of the chairman of the board of Brown-Forman, who is a patron of the Louisville Symphony.
Yeah, it was amazing evening. It was really amazing people. For us, we live always far from home. Is really maybe the most important thing is to meet people who make us like at home.
You mentioned that you had a great time there and a great professional setup with Stephen Turpin.
We found what we rarely find, a very beautiful hall where we had to play, very nice acoustic. Normally radios have a very dry, room because they didn't need that like that, but they had a small, let's say, a concert hall there, so it was easier to play. He was great because he even gave us something as a gift. He gave us 2 bobbleheads, small composers, Bartók and Beethoven.
A long drive up to Toledo, Ohio, to Brad Cresswell.
by the Quartetto di Cremona. Did I say that properly?
Great, yeah.
Or the Cremona?
The best.
The best.
Since we started, this is the best.
The best quartet in Cremona, right?
Oh, yeah.
There are not a lot of string quartets in Italy, and I think I talked about this last time with one of you, that you guys are really, the creme de la creme of string quartets from Italy right now.
At least we are considered, yes, to be.
Yeah.
We don't say that, but we are considered to be.
Yeah. Well, you have to be modest, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
As,
But you have to say.
Well, I will say it.
He already knew, our thoughts about Beethoven, and he already knew about our projects, and we spoke a little bit about the music, and then we played, and they also had very competent staff recording, very good sound engineer.
So then you headed down to Dayton, Ohio, and did the little spot with WDPR with Larry Caressel.
Columbus was extremely nice, very smart guy, and they also gave our time they shown a bit about the radio.
Recently, the Quartetto di Cremona completed a tour of North America, and as they passed through Ohio, they stopped by the Discover Classical Studios last week. I spoke to the 4 members of the ensemble about their career with this ensemble that was formed in 2000. How do you tour, travel all over the world, and have time to practice at the same time? And eat and sleep and be human beings?
This is something that we had to learn to do, because of course when you go around the world, very often it's difficult to manage with all these things. I mean, it's not very difficult to sleep and to eat, particularly to eat, I must say. Maybe it's difficult to eat as well as we eat in Italy. Anyway, we learned that we have to manage very well what we are going to play, not to play too many pieces, otherwise we have to practice too much.
If you would introduce the members of the quartet for me.
I mean, we have...
Or they can introduce themselves,
sure.
if you'd like.
I mean, I'm the violist, and you know, I mean, nothing to say about viola players. I mean, we're famous all around the world.
No viola jokes,
No,
I
exactly.
promise.
No viola jokes today, but I mean, we have a champagne cellist, I mean, a great cellist, yeah. Champagne because his cello is Dom Perignon, like you know. And,
Don Nicola Amati.
Exactly, and then we have our first violin, Cristiano, who usually thinks a lot about music. He's our great thinker in the quartet. And we have Paolo, the second violin. You know, to be a second violin is always very difficult because people usually think wrongly that to be a second violin means that you are not enough to play the first violin. It's not true at all. He's a great violinist and he's a great driver and he's a professional cook, so we have been very lucky to have him in the quartet.
Wow.
And that's it. That's a Quartetto di Cremona.
And then we left to Cleveland because I remember that we were a little bit in a hurry as we arrived late.
You rented a car.
Yes.
And you're driving to Northampton, Massachusetts, and in between stopping at radio stations.
We are discovering how big this country is. Much more than Italy.
It's a pretty big country.
Yes,
yeah. Tulsa to Cleveland, sure, let's do it.
Pittsburgh was great because was a really kind and lovely the person who interviewed us, and he asked a lot of things. We spoke quite a lot before playing and then after playing, and discussing about many different things, and was great. And we had the impression that is could be really important for us to come back.
The tour was great. All the people that we met are amazing, all the tour. But like Giovanni said before, everything was perfect. So I think and I hope to come again and see these people another time. Was great driving the United States.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you all so much for joining us, you guys. Our YouTube name is Crossriver Media Net. And don't forget to follow the Quartetto di Cremona guys on Twitter. They're at QDIC. And you can also follow Crossriver Media on Twitter at _Crossriver Media. Thanks so much for tuning in and see you next time.